Welcome to the Felt Dyslexic Artist Interview. My name is Liz Buckridge. For me, as a dyslexic artist, other artists and creatives have always been my number one inspiration. In these interviews, we talk with artists and creatives who share their stories, and we gain insight into their process from inspiration to art tips, career building, and more. We're so lucky to listen to the wisdom of Bob Lavoie today. Lavoie, right?
Lavoie, yep.
I'm so excited to hear about his past and future projects and share his insights on life as an artist. Hi.
Hi.
Thank you for talking with us today.
Oh, no problem.
All right, I'm going to jump right in. Describe the art you make. What medium do you primarily work in, and why do you choose that medium?
I work in oils, mostly sort of photorealistic. There may be some painterly um, aspects to it, but mostly photoreal. Um, I like oils because of the way it feels when it goes on a canvas or a board, um, and the colors, the brightness, and I learned how to paint oils, so I just kind of have stayed with it.
Do you work in any other mediums?
Sometimes gouache, which is completely different than oils. But I was an illustrator for a long time. So my illustration was done in acrylic and gouache. And I never really, I mastered acrylics, but I never really liked working in it.
How did you get into making art? Can you tell us about your background and how you first became interested in art?
I think I've always drawn for as long as I can remember. When I was a kid, I would always have a pencil and paper. As I got older, I would start copying comic books or illustrations and things like that. So as far back as I can remember, I did art.
How did you get into your specific style? What themes or subjects inspire your work?
I always liked the illustrators when I was growing up. Especially illustrated books. The Treasure Island stuff with Pyle and NC Wyeth. So I've always been a realistic painter, um, which caused some problems when I was in college, because when I was in college, you pretty much had to paint abstract, and I really couldn't. So my painting teacher suggested I switch into illustration and graphic design, which I did, which was very good because I was able to work and get a job. So,
wow. Do you consider yourself neurodivergent or neurotypical?
Neurotypical.
Have you faced any challenges or setbacks in your art career?
Yeah, I think every artist does. You know, Rejection. When I was an illustrator, I would send things out to get books or magazines, and you get back, yeah, we're not interested right now. But I think every artist has setbacks, and you just have to work through them.
Well, how did you overcome them?
I think because I love doing it so much, I would just try to get better. And, eventually, the acceptances started coming in. So um, I think that's really it. It's just working, continuing to work.
Yeah. Where did you grow up?
Swansea, Mass. Small town, especially back then. It was a very small town.
You said you started drawing when you were really little.
Yep.
Do you remember doing art when you were a little kid?
I do. I remember the teacher asking me to draw things when I was little. I don't remember exactly what it was, but she would say, "Oh, Bob's going to draw something for us." So I was pretty young when I started doing it.
That's cool. Do you have a favorite colorway for your art? And is the colorway or palette the same in your art as your house?
Um, I don't have a specific palette. Um, Most of what I do is local color. So, I might change things, but for the most part, whatever's in the photo, I stick to that, try to stick true to the photography. And I don't know, most of the house is gray because I think when we moved in here, that was the in color. So we have probably 5 or 6 different grays. So
Describe the space where you make your art. Where are we?
we're in probably the only good thing that came out of COVID. Before COVID, I painted in my living room, and every night I would have to, I mean, every morning I would put a tarp down, set up all my stuff, paint, and then put it all away again in the afternoon. So during COVID, when we couldn't go anywhere, my brother-in-law and I built this really nice small studio. I was lucky we have it's in my basement slash garage. I have a nice window. It's not huge, as you can see, but it's very cozy and it's my space. And I just love being down here.
I actually really love this room. Tell me about your school system. Did your school system support your interest in art growing up?
It definitely did. I would not be here if it wasn't my art teacher, Mrs. Hanley. When I was, I think between my sophomore and junior year, she nominated me for a scholarship to the summer program at Museum School in Boston. And for that whole summer, every Saturday, I would get on a bus in Swansea, take the bus to Fall River, from Fall River to Boston, and then back again. And that course, when I was doing that, that's where I knew that I wanted to be an artist. And I owe it all to her. I mean, she was great. And there were a few other artists working now that came out of that school system. She was a great art teacher.
Wow. How do you see your work evolving or changing in the future? What do you have planned?
I don't know. I've been trying somehow to simplify the work. And I don't know how it's going over. I haven't shown any of it to anybody yet. I was a graphic artist, and in the back of my mind, I kind of have an idea I want to get more graphic, but they seem to come out the way they come out. So I don't know, but that's kind of what I'd like to do. And just I have a couple samples that I'm working on. I won't show anybody until I'm happy with them. So
Is making art an emotional process for you or a strategic process?
I think emotional. I mean, it's, although they don't look like they're emotional pieces, for me, they are. So, um, the things that people walk by and don't ever notice, like houses or storefronts or um, things like that. So I think they're emotional for me anyway.
Yeah. Can you walk us through your creative process from idea to finished piece?
Um, sure. So whenever I'm driving around, if I see something, I'll take pictures, with my phone, or if I have my camera, I'll do that. And it kind of depends on what I'm thinking of at the time. So, it could be like a diner or a storefront, and then I'll come home, download it to my computer. Um, and if I pick a piece, say I pick a storefront, I'll bring it into Photoshop. I make a document the size that I decided to paint it, say by 10, and then I just move it around for a couple hours cropping until I get, it might be a really close crop, it might be something that's far away. Once I decide on that, I transfer it to um, canvas or board, and it's sort of gridding, but it's not. I kind of have this weird thing that I do in Photoshop where I use the guides and I move them around, and then I just draw. I mean, I do the whole drawing on the canvas most of the time with the shading. where shadows are going to be, where highlights are going to be. And then after that, I just start painting.
Wow. How do you combine the art you love to make and the art you sell?
Um, every artist wants to sell, but, I pretty much do what I want to do unless it's a commission. And then, but that's mostly, I mean, the commissions I get are mostly things I want to do. So um, I I sort of paint for myself, um, but also, I paint for a certain group that likes what I paint. I mean, I wouldn't have abstract people looking at me. So
I love it. So how do people find your art to purchase? Do you have a website or?
I do. I have a website, Bob Lavoie Fine Art, um, and most of the commissions I've gotten have come from the website. I'm also on Instagram and Facebook at Bob Lavoie Fine Art.
Yeah, we'll put that information in
Okay.
the show
Mm-hmm.
notes. Can you share a recent project or a piece of work that you're particularly happy about?
The one behind us is one I just finished. It's a house that I go by on my way to Providence Art Club 2 or 3 times a week. And for years, I've been saying, oh, I'll make a good painting because it's just flags all over it. So I really like that one. I've also started doing some automotive stuff, um, mostly classic cars, and I just love doing those. Those are really, really fun to do. And I'll be at Springville Gallery in September and October during the Audrain car show. I'll be their guest artist, and it'll be all classic cars. So
How do you stay motivated as an artist?
I just love doing this. I I can't wait to get up in the morning and come down here and paint, and that's pretty much all day. Um, I get here at come in around 8:30, work until 3 or 4, and I just have always loved to do this, and I've been one of the luckiest people ever because I've been able to do this my whole life. So,
Wow. Are there any artists or creatives who have influenced or inspired your work?
yeah, I think going back, Edward Hopper, of course, Andrew Wyeth, N.C. Wyeth, um, and the newer people, Richard Estes, um, Robert Bechtel, the photorealists. But mostly it was probably Andrew Wyeth and Edward Hopper. I still love looking at their work.
Yeah. What advice would you give to an aspiring artist looking to pursue a career in the arts?
Oh boy, persevere. Um, it's you just have to keep going, even when it's tough. If you love it, it'll work out. But it's I think just practice and practice, learn how to draw. I think drawing is very important. And when I was in art school, I don't think we painted anything but color squares for the whole first year. It was mostly drawing. We had to take drawing every semester. So I think drawing is very important, and just don't give up. Don't give up. That's the most important thing.
Yeah. So, what is your favorite book, movie, song,
Oh
podcast?
boy, this one I was really um, book. Uh, Sterling Hayden was an actor in the 40s and 50s, and he wrote one book, which is one of the best books I've ever read, and I've reread it a bunch of times. It's called Voyage, and it's about a steel hull barkentine that is supposed to sail from New York around Cape Horn to San Francisco, and it's about that voyage. It's called Voyage. I guess that's one of, and I read probably 2 books a week, so I read a lot. So, but if I was, I always recommend that one. it's hard to find sometimes, but it's well worth it.
Wow.
And music, I like all old people. Dylan, Bob Dylan. My one of my favorite songs is "The Weight" by um, the band. Um, uh, I don't know.
That's
Back
enough.
then,
I
yeah.
think that's good. You don't listen to podcasts?
I do listen to podcasts. I listen to mostly true crime, serial murderers, that kind of stuff. I love Only Murders in the Building. That's a great show.
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, it's really good.
Oh my God, that's awesome. What would you like to talk about that I didn't ask?
You covered pretty much everything. This was great. I just think it's the best life anybody could have, and I'm so lucky to be able to still do it. And I've been doing it. I got a job. My first job out of college was in 1975, and I've been illustrating, designing, and painting for 50, yikes, 50 years.
I usually don't ask a follow-up, but where did you go to college?
I went to SMU, which is now UMass Dartmouth. I left there for one semester and went to Elmira, and then came back to SMU and graduated from SMU with BFA in design and illustration.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Super, super, super talented.
No, thank you.
Well, thank you so much for talking to us today and letting us into your studio. Yep. I felt inspired for sure. You're super inspirational.
Thank you so much.
And much love. And we'll see you next time.
This was great. Thank you.
Yay.